Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel in our Year to Shine. Tonight I'm going to be talking more about the new book that we are discussing right now. It is Cheryl Richardson and Louise Hay's book, You Can Create an Exceptional Life. And we're into the first chapter now, which is called Answer the Phone and Open the Mail. And a lot of it is Cheryl asking Louise about the progression of her life and how she got to becoming a spiritual leader and eventually having a publishing company. And she had difficult beginnings. It wasn't like she was born into money or even really a loving situation. She had difficult family life, ended up running away before she was even 18, and really did so many different things. And it wasn't until she was in her 40s, she says, that she really had an awakening to really helping people and having a spiritual experience. And a lot of it is her introduction to the Church of Religious Science. If you've heard of that, it's really a new thought sort of church. And it is around, if you Google that, you will find it. It's a church that's based on the teachings of Ernest Holmes and other people like Emmett Fox, and I don't have all the names in front of me, but they were people who understood that there was actually some sort of scientific algorithm, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, to the way that, like in the last video, I talked about how thoughts can create your experience. So she found an affinity with this sort of teaching and ended up becoming a healer, taking training through the church. And what do you think this answer the phone and open the mail thing means? I mean, what I took it to mean from reading this chapter is that it was a slow progression. It was not like immediately she was on Oprah and, had fame and fortune. It was a slow thing of like just doing the next thing in front of you, answering the phone, opening the mail, and also just sort of following the flow of what came to her. So yes, we're talking about affirmations and wanting to create an exceptional life, but you're also a co-creator in a sense. You're working along with Source or God or whatever you find resonance with when you think about the spiritual part of our experience, and you are also reacting or taking action based on what lands in your lap. So say you get some mail and you open it up. Maybe it's an invitation or a thank you note or something like that from someone you don't know very well, and they put their phone number in, I'd love to talk to you. And what if you don't call them? You might not know that that person ends up being the one that opens all these doors for you. So when you think about your own life, are you aware of those things? Like, when do you answer the phone? First of all, a lot of people don't. But do you listen for things that might be like a pattern, or somebody says, hey, have you been to this place? Or I thought of you the other day because of this. Or I know you're interested in this. Did you know that there's this class that's happening on it somewhere? So it's listening to those things that might just come your way randomly. You could be watching YouTube and then an ad comes on and it's something that you were just thinking about. It doesn't mean that it has to be, like, you don't have to become famous like Louise, and it can be something small in your own life. But a lot of what Louise is talking about here is, how can I serve? How can I help? So, and actually, one of the people I've mentioned on the channel, Dr. Wayne Dyer, he was constantly saying that as well, and trying to live his life in service to others. Now, that might feel weird to you, or you might think, well, I don't want to work for a nonprofit, or I don't want to be working at a food bank, or it might feel weird to you, but like I said, it can be small things. It could be even that the way that you are a friend to other people, or how you are in your family. Like if you're an introvert, and the thought of being out there and being in front of other people, or serving the community or the world at large on a public platform feels really uncomfortable, then don't be intimidated, because it can be in your own life a small way. It can be, how can I serve? How can I help in a situation that you come upon? So it's seeing the things that might come in the mail, and that's just an example, but things that come to your awareness and going with them. Because Louise talks a lot in this chapter about how things just seem to fall into place. So have you ever experienced that, where you sort of know that you're on the right path, like the right people are coming to you, all these doors are opening up? I definitely feel like I can think about situations in my life where it's like I knew that everything had led me to that moment, and that all the things that happened, it was just easy and effortless. So that would be, I think, when you kind of know you're in the zone, or that maybe it feels like it's not like a big effort to try to get everything to happen. And in that respect, you are co-creating, because there is a greater force behind everything that's helping it along, right? Yes, we have a kitty. So slow progression, Louise says. And how can I serve? How can I help? Cheryl talks also about how her spiritual awakening, if you will, also started in her 40s. So where do you think you are on the spiritual path? If you've been following the channel for a long time, you know that we've been talking about a lot of things related to simple abundance. That's what this chapter, or what this channel is based on. Joy, harmony, beauty, order, simplicity, and gratitude. And Louise came up with her own list of things as well that were sort of like her keys to life that she was sharing with Cheryl. And you'll recognize some of the words. The first one is simplicity. Focusing on small, simple, and manageable steps instead of making things complicated. The next one is optimism, putting attention and energy towards solutions rather than focusing on problems. And patience, experiencing the joy and journey fully and consciously rather than rushing to achieve a particular result. Trust, learning to trust life by seeing the perfection and opportunity for growth in all of your experiences. So maybe everything's not perfect, but you're still trusting that there is a larger purpose, right? Growth, viewing life as a classroom where we use our experiences as catalysts for change and self-realization. She's rubbing all over the book. Service, focusing more on how we can best encourage and assist those in need, as opposed to getting lost in our own personal vision and quest for success. Yeah. Action, making a commitment to show up and walk through the door that life opens for us on our journey. So maybe you are afraid to take a large step and be out in the public, but maybe that opportunity comes to you, and when you do it, it becomes magical. Faith, being willing to take chances and keep moving forward without knowing the outcome. And magnetism, that would be a lot of what we talked about with the affirmations. Developing and tapping into the ability to attract what you need by putting and keeping ourselves in a right state of mind. And I've talked before on the channel about alignment, and a lot of when things fall into place, then you are in alignment, because everything is lining up, it's congruent, and it's almost like you found the tracks, like the railroad tracks. Then you are sort of off off of them, and then you got into them and you just slid down the hill. Yeah. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say. She does go into great detail in this chapter about her work with the AIDS movement in the 80s, which is really inspiring. And in terms of that, as far as healing, she does share her own experience of being diagnosed with cancer also. Fortunately, she was already doing a lot of this healing work, and she used it as an opportunity to really delve into the work on herself. She had been working with other people on healing and affirmations and positive thinking, and so this was her opportunity to put into practice in her own life her healing path. So it was actually a miracle, everything that she did. She did a lot of cleansing. She worked with Chinese, what is it called? It's it's acupuncture, but there's another word for it. Traditional Chinese therapy, is that what it's called? And she worked with a nutritionist that really helped her change her diet. And when I say it was a miracle, it was because when she went back to the doctor, her cancer was gone. So, and she shares that she didn't tell people that she even had it. I think she told her teacher and then, of course, the people that were helping her. But she didn't want anybody to say anything like, oh, isn't that horrible? Like, she didn't give it any power in her life. She just focused on the healing. And then, of course, when she healed, you have to believe that if that happened to you, you would be so much more solid in your belief about this whole way of living and in helping other people. And to even have that success story of saying, like, I healed myself of cancer, I think that would also make you more credible as well, don't you think? So she talks about that. And then when I mentioned the work that she did with folks out in California during the initial AIDS crisis, it's really inspiring the way that when she got together with the groups, and it was mainly men, and she said she didn't really know what she was going to do, but she just said, we're not going to sit around and say, isn't this horrible, or we're going to die. Everybody's going to be only sharing positive things about, maybe they heard about new research. And also they did tons of healing. She mentions forgiveness in this chapter too, and Cheryl interjects something that's pretty interesting too. Because remember I mentioned that Louise had a difficult childhood. Well, she had to also heal and forgive her own parents for what her experience ended up being. And if you listen to her morning and evening meditations, in the evening meditation when you're going to sleep, there is some healing with your parents because you're thinking about them as children, and even if you don't know what they were like, but you are getting to their soul essence, and you are realizing that everybody is a product of their own upbringing. So maybe if you also had a difficult childhood, a part of that forgiveness is about understanding maybe that person that was raising you didn't have the tools because they weren't given that as a child themselves. So I wanted to find that part about the forgiveness because Cheryl asked her a good question about forgiveness. So Louise is talking about forgiveness, and Cheryl says, I'd like to talk about forgiveness for a minute. I know you had a violent past, and I'm wondering if the emotional detox work you were doing with the therapist, because she did go to therapy, happened before the forgiveness process began or after. I ask this because I've often found that people rush to forgive in hopes of avoiding the painful feelings that come up when dealing with the betrayal, loss, and abuse of any kind. So Louise says, yes, you need to heal first. And she says, what I realized and I focus on a lot was the fact that my parents were born beautiful little babies, like I said. I needed to look at how they got from this place of innocence to where they were mishandling me. I pieced together as much as I could of their stories, and I realized that my parents had been brought up under terrible circumstances. If you go into the backgrounds of some of the most horrendous people in the world, you always find a terrible, terrible childhood. Some people like me end up wanting to help others, and some want to get even. But you can never get even. I was able to forgive my parents because I understood their lives. So some of that is about really figuring out that they were doing the best they could, right? So another thing I want to say too, because we talked a little bit about affirmations last time, and there will be a lot of that in this book. But one of the things that she mentioned in that list of things was focusing on the positive, right? So if there is a problem, you're not going to focus on the problem. You're going to focus on the solution. I'm reading Louise's words here. You first need to change your thinking about a problem. We all have ideas about healing and how things should and shouldn't work. We need to shift our thinking from it can't be done to it can be done. I just have to figure out how. I've always said that the word incurable means that it can't be cured by any outer means at the moment. So we need to go within. That's true, because the word incurable would be go within. That, of course, would mean changing your thinking. You also need to develop self-worth. You need to believe that you're worthy of being healed. If you can develop that as a strong belief and affirmation, then life will bring you what you need to manifest your healing. So Louise really believes that anything can be healed. What do you think about that? Do you believe that? I don't think I'm there yet, to be honest. I think, if I were a quadriplegic, for instance, I don't know that I would have the belief that I could heal myself. But maybe I would believe that there might be a scientific breakthrough that might heal me. I don't know. But Louise really feels like anything can be healed. So I'm just going to read, and I'll finish this up with these affirmations that she just starts us off with some positive ones. Shoot, I didn't read an affirmation from the deck like I said I was going to do. Well, these are going to take the place of that because I have it in another part of the room. Okay, so here they are. I love myself and I forgive myself. I forgive myself for allowing you can put either anger, fear, resentment, or what you are experiencing to harm my body. I deserve to be healed. I am worthy of being healed. My body knows how to heal itself. I cooperate with my body's nutritional needs. I feed my body delicious, healthy foods. I love every inch of my body. I see cool, clear water flowing through my body and washing away all impurities. My healthy cells grow stronger every day. I trust life to support my healing in every way. Every hand that touches my body is a healing hand. My doctors are amazed by how quickly my body is healing. Every day, in every way, I am growing healthier and healthier. I love myself. I am safe. Life loves me. I am healed and whole. So that's almost a whole paragraph of various affirmations. And I know when she was doing her work, she talked about how she would record them for people, and then they would have a whole tape of positive things. So you can start with one line, and you can make your own affirmations as well. Or you could read a whole thing like that. If you go back in my videos from last year, I read one of Louise's pages about deservability, and there's a lot of great affirmations in that as well. So Cheryl closes the chapter by saying more that it's not only about changing your thoughts, like we did talk about thoughts becoming things, but it is a shift in mind, body, and spirit. And that is what heals you. And also, how can I help people? How can I serve? Once we understand how this works and we trust how it works, we simply answer the phone and open the mail. Yeah, so if you always believe that life is going to bring you the things that you need to learn, if it is a school, like Louise said, then you need to be on the lookout for what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and not be afraid to take action. Walk through the door, answer the phone, open the mail, take the next step, and let that slow progression happen. Let me know what you think. I know I had a lot to say about this. We're just getting started. We'll talk about another chapter in an upcoming video. Thanks again for watching, and love to you all. Bye-bye.